Precisely 1:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. Heavy rains will be experienced in several areas during the next few weeks. Landslide warnings has been issued to 6 districts. A risk of possible minor flood situation due to the increase of water levels of Kalu, Ging and Kalani rivers. All economic centres are open today. More than 2 million people have been vaccinated. In news overseas, Israel opposition parties agree to form new unity government. Local news in detail. The National Building Research Institute has issued landslide warning to Colombo, Galle, Kalutara, Matara, Nuwara and Ratnapura. The institute requested the people living in these areas to be vigilant on the possibility of landslides, rockfalls, subsidence and cut slope failure if the rainfall exceeds 75 millimeters within the next 24 hours. This will be effective until 9 a.m. tomorrow. The highest rainfall of 326 millimeters have been experienced in the Ingiriya area during the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, the Department of Irrigation says the water level of Kalu and Ginganga have been increased due to the heavy rain. The water level of Kalaniganga and Athanagala Oya is increasing. There can be minor flood situations in Gampaha, Minuangoda, Katana and Jayala areas. All economic centres in the will be reopened today and tomorrow for wholesale trade. Accordingly, the Damulla Economic Centre is reopened. Lorries carrying vegetables from all parts of the island have arrived this morning. Therefore, the prices of vegetables will be declined when compared to the past week. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
Continuing with more stories here at home, COVID vaccination program is being carried out in several districts successfully. 69,573 doses of vaccines have been provided yesterday. Nearly 49,000 Sinopharm vaccines have been given and Sputnik V vaccines have been given to more than 18,000 persons. In addition, the second dose of Covishield vaccines were given to 1,681 persons. At present, the vaccines have been provided to more than 2 million people. Minister Dilum Amanugama says that the country receives vaccines due to diplomatic discussions and not the private purchase level. Some groups are making statements that the government has no finances needed to purchase vaccines, but the main reason is the high demand for vaccines internationally. He made these remarks at an observation tour in the vaccination program held in Kandy. That's local news.
Finished? You have 1 more hour to write the exam.
Yes, sir. Always early.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
3,306 COVID-infected persons were detected yesterday. Out of this number, 1,004 COVID cases have been reported from the Gampaha district. In addition, another 501 infected persons have been reported from the Colombo district. The overall COVID-19 cases in the country have been increased to 192,547 following the detection of 3,306 cases.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on Watchlight, Dr. Aruna Jasekara, Director of the National Dengue Control Unit of the Ministry of Health, says that people should take action to keep their surroundings clean as the risk of dengue is increasing during the months of June and July. Dengue fever is on the rise from May to July due to the rainy weather. Since dengue is also spreading in the midst of the coronavirus epidemic and show common symptoms, people are advised to see a doctor to diagnose the disease if symptoms occur. That's on Watchlight. Moving on to world news headlines. Israel opposition parties agree to form new unity government. ASEAN representatives to visit Myanmar. US President Biden to discuss ransomware hacks with Putin. World news in detail. Israeli opposition parties have reached an agreement to form a new government that would end Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year tenure as Prime Minister. Yair Lapid, leader of the centrist Yesh Atid party, announced an 8-faction coalition had been formed. Under a rotation agreement, the head of the right-wing Yamina party, Naftali Bennett, would serve as Prime Minister first before handing over to Mr. Lapid. There still needs to be a parliamentary vote before the government is sworn in. Representatives of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations are expected to visit Myanmar today at the earliest as part of efforts to end the violence there. Those who will be visiting the Irwan Yusuf, the second foreign minister of Brunei, which currently holds ASEAN's rotating chair, and its Secretary General Lim Jok Hoi, also from Brunei. The schedule and aim of the visit have not been made public. ASEAN diplomatic sources say they are expected to hold talks with Myanmar's military leaders about sending an envoy to the country. Finally, on world news, the White House says US President Joe Biden will discuss recent ransomware attacks in a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin later this month. In a news conference yesterday, White House spokesperson Jen Psaki cited Biden as saying the Russian government has a role to play in stopping and preventing the attacks. A major fuel pipeline and a global meat packer in the US suffered cyber attacks last month. Both attacks are believed to have originated from an organization based in Russia. And that's on world news. Moving on to development news. A fully fledged factory is to be established to provide oxygen needed for the country. Therefore, a 25-acre land belonging to the Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation in Keravalapitia has been given to Litrogas Company for this purpose. Accordingly, the corporation has given 500 million rupees to the company as an advance. That's on development news. Moving on to sports news now. Sri Lanka is in the 13th and final place at the Super League ODI grading of the ICC. Sri Lanka has gained 8 bonus marks. Sri Lankan team has defeated 5 matches of the 6 matches they've played. Netherlands is in the 9th place and Ireland has secured the 11th. Bangladesh has won 5 matches out of the 9 matches they participated. The Bangladesh team is leading by winning 50 bonus marks. That's on sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
The Commercial Bank of Ceylon has once again been declared the best bank in Sri Lanka at the 2021 Finance Asia Country Awards, taking its place among global and regional giants adjudged the best domestic banks in their respective countries. This is the 10th occasion that Commercial Bank has been bestowed this prestigious accolade by Finance Asia, which is acknowledged as the presenter of one of the best known and most credible sets of awards in Asia's financial services industry.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
And on economic news, considering the difficulties faced by the borrowers of licensed banks due to the third wave of COVID-19 pandemic, the central bank has requested licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized banks to provide concessions to affected borrowers. These include deferring recovery of capital, interest, or both on case-by-case basis. Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
And on the weather update, the Met Department says prevailing showery condition in the southwestern parts of the country is expected to continue further. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern and central provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Very heavy falls, about 150 millimeters, can be expected at some places in western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in Galle, Mathura and Nuwara districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasir, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines. Heavy rains will be experienced in several areas during the next few weeks. Landslide warnings has been issued to 6 districts. A risk of possible minor flood situation due to the increase of water levels of Kalu, Ging and Kalani rivers. All economic centres are being opened today. More than 2 million people have been vaccinated. News overseas, Israel opposition parties agree to form new unity government. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news.